Good morning. We're at a weird angle again today because this is happening. Good morning. Good morning. So it seems like he's decided that if I'm out here on Periscope that he should be out here on my lap. So we've got the weird like funhouse mirror thing happening again. It's just so strange. And good morning. I left the Course in Miracles book in Loganville. Good morning, Chrissy. Oh. Let's just take care of that right now. Hi, Nina and Catherine and everyone. Got the Jabba the Hutt look going on. Got a cat in my lap. He's gotten conditioned to being out here when I'm scoping, so he thinks he should be in my lap, so we've got the weird thing. Let me know if you can't hear me. I left the Course in Miracles book in Atlanta, so we won't be talking about that today. Yay! Yeah, it's so early there. Yeah, he thinks he should be here. If I'm out here, he thinks he should be here. Okay. How's everybody doing? It's raining and raining and raining and raining again. So I'm going to go to the store here in a little bit and lay in some supplies in case we get flooded in again. We don't want to be stuck at the house without tortilla chips because that would be inhumane. That would be barbaric to be trapped by floodwaters and not have tortilla chips. He's holding the space. Yeah. Are you holding the meditative space, Hoitzi? Yeah. Raining there too. Yeah, it's raining and raining. So I thought I'd talk about, I have the Law of Divine Compensation, which I also left in Atlanta, but I have it on this Nook, so we can do that. Hi, Susan. But I wanted to talk, too, about the internalized other. That's, I'm going to forget which sociologist uses that term, but it's a sociology concept where you get messages when you're growing up from parents, teacher, the society, which is all the people around you, school systems, doctors. You get messages from outside of you how you're supposed to behave, what's allowed and what's not allowed in the culture that you grow up in. Then you get more messages about what's allowed and what's not allowed in your home. And you learn as a kid from TV shows, music, world events give you all these messages, and we hear those messages as little kids from all the people, the external people around us. And then at some point early on, as a young child, we turn all those external voices inside. Sean just talking about some of the stuff we were talking about on Facebook yesterday. Excuse me. Those external voices become internalized. So as adults, we still carry all those messages and we hear those statements like, oh, don't do that, and that's not okay, and that's not allowed. And it's called the internalized other because we've taken the outside voices, we've brought them inside. And we think they're our own voices. And part of going through coaching or therapy or personal growth or whatever is learning to recognize what is an external message made internal and what's truly you. What's truly like information from your source or your God or your spirit or whatever. And that can be a difficult process figuring out, like, am I angry all the time because I need to be angry all the time? Or am I angry all the time because that was what my family culture was? And maybe that was the only allowed emotion. So that can be difficult for people to figure out, like, what is the source of these emotions? What is the source of this poor self-image? Or what is the source of this feeling of, I can't because? So women deal with it. Gender roles happen there because women are given messages, you can only do certain things, or sad all the time. In my family, sadness was okay, but pretty much not much else, and definitely anger was not okay. In my husband's family, they did a lot of anger, lots of it. So we can get locked into the messages we received. So when you're going for a full emotional expression, when you start exploring that, you can start to hear the don't messages. Like, you can't feel that way. Nice people don't feel that way. Good people don't feel negative. Good people don't feel petty. So all those messages can start to come up, and when you start to ask yourself. So that process of inquiring into why and where does this come from and how can I see this differently and why am I stuck here, can start to bring forth that information. And so we've talked about how how this relates to Course in Miracles work. We've talked a lot about how when you start to shift from a fear-based existence to seeing and choosing love in every situation, all the stuff that's not love, all that petty stuff, all the angry, all the jealousy, all the what we would term negative, it's not really negative, it's just a different energy, but that all starts to come up and out. What is in there, if you question it, is those messages. And when you identify them, it's really easy to let them go. Because you can do a Byron Katie worksheet on them, or you can just write them in your journal. You can ask, where did this come from? And often you'll see the person that gave you that message. And it's not like you're looking for people to blame. That's just going to lead you further into a spiral. But you're looking for the source of it. Like, maybe I really like broccoli, and the person that raised me hated it and told me it was terrible. I actually hate broccoli now. I didn't hate it as a kid, but now I can't stand it. But I know someone who was always told she didn't look good in shorts, so she shouldn't wear shorts. And she actually looks just fine in shorts, and that was a message received outside that she never recognized was just a message. It was just a statement somebody made several times. It wasn't actually her, and it really actually had no validity whatsoever. So if you have a chronic recurring situation, ask yourself, am I just replaying messages I heard from other people? Is this something that my family culture liked to do, but maybe I don't really like to do it? I'm sure you can think of several examples in your own life where you've discovered that your family didn't do something that other people do, and as an adult you've tried new things and were like, oh, I actually really like this, even though my family actually hated it or didn't do it. Traditions and stuff. Traditions around holidays can get tense if you have traditions that you've come to see as sacred, and then you get married, and then the other family's like, we don't do it that way. That's just a simple example of how you can get thrown off kilter, butting up against different messages. That makes sense? So ask yourself where those voices come from. If you have a belief, how come I never wear red nail polish? That was one of ours. Like, only slutty people wore red nail polish. That was like a hooker color. So when, as a young person, I always avoided red nail polish, even though I really liked it. And so I just started wearing it, and I felt kind of naughty. I felt like I was doing something a little bit bad because I was wearing red nail polish. So that's just a simple example. Anyway, the Law of Divine Compensation book, interestingly enough, is transforming a negative sense of self. So many messages are given to us instead of acceptance for all that we are. Yeah. So if you're raised in America, you're getting different messages than if you're raised in Brazil. About what your role is, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. Yeah. Nice. Red nails, red shoes, red lipstick. Red lipstick was another one. It was a challenge. So, if you have a negative view of wealthy people and what wealthy people do, that can be external messages that you received from someone else, especially if you grew up poor. Then you run into loyalty issues. Like, if I become rich, if when I was growing up, rich people were bad or hated, then if I get rich, I'm going to be bad and hated, and I don't want to be bad and hated. So you can get those little paradoxical boxes you put yourself in where you can't break through and you can't figure out why. So, transforming a negative sense of self is the chapter we're on in The Law of Divine Compensation by Marianne Williamson. Is the second book we're covering. So she writes, the law of divine compensation represents the natural working of the universe, but it's up to each of us to rid our minds of the thoughts that block it. Our thoughts, our beliefs, unloving thoughts deactivate the law. They sabotage the dynamic by which the universe is programmed to support us. When we think or say something negative, even if we believe we don't really mean it, the thought carries creative energy. Every thought is a cause that creates an effect. An undisciplined mind, easily tempted into faithless and unloving thoughts, is a huge deterrent to success. Now, trying to keep track of all your thoughts is pretty much next door to impossible. And it's hard to determine, did the thought create a feeling or did a feeling create a thought about the feeling? But it's easier to target how you're feeling than to target what you're thinking, because thoughts are so fast and fleeting, and sometimes you can backtrack a sudden emotion and figure out which thought you just thought triggered it, but often you can't. So the Desire Map stuff teaches you to focus on your feelings, and it's not just Desire Map. It's Abraham Hicks and plenty of other things teach you that managing your emotions may be more effective than trying to track your thoughts. Yeah, it's really, really hard to tell. And it can be wasted energy to try and track your thoughts. Unless they're chronic and you begin to hear them all the time, and then you'll know. But your feelings let you know that your thoughts are out of kilter, regardless of what they are. Negative thoughts that deactivate the law of divine compensation fall into three major categories: negative sense of self, anger, and guilt. So we'll look at least one of these today. Spiritual growth involves giving up the stories of your past so the universe can write a new one. Releasing negative self-concepts is important, not simply because they hurt you. It's important because they're not true. It's not true that you don't look good in shorts. And if it is true, who gives a shit? It's hot, and you should wear shorts. When it's hot, not today. The spiritual journey is a path of surrendering our fear-based thoughts and allowing them to be replaced by love, or God. The reason to embrace a positive self-image is that it describes you as God thinks of you. Mine was sleeveless shirts. I had this thing where you shouldn't wear sleeveless shirts if you're of a larger size woman. That's ridiculous. It's freaking hot. And I like sleeveless shirts. So I wear them now and I don't care. I really don't even think about it anymore. Always made you wear a jacket? Yeah, and then you're grown and you're like, why am I wearing this stupid jacket? I don't want to wear a jacket. I'm a grown-up. The reason to embrace a positive self-image is that it describes you as God sees you. Let's try to think of ourselves as our universe sees us, as the source of love sees us, which is entirely different usually than how we see ourselves. And that's why you do it. So it's not like you're doing this to obtain money, although you might, or God's self. Contrary to the thoughts of God, we have a number of negative self-images that we allow to freely wander through our minds, wreaking havoc. I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. I don't have what it takes. My father, mother, teacher, etc. was right about me. I'll never amount to anything. There's a whole list of them. I'm not going to go through them. You know what they are. The system's screwing me over. The government is out to get me. The boogeyman lives in the woods, although that's actually true. So don't take them all apart. It's useless, hopeless, that kind of stuff. Such painful thoughts arise from over-identification with the material plane. The boogeyman live in your head, and then we project them out into the woods of the world. Identifying with your material self rather than your spiritual self always leaves you vulnerable to self-hating projections and attacks. Attacks on your heart. Because the mortal self is not who you are. It's not all of you. It's not everything. Not even close. The mortal plane is at best an ever-changing parade of individual perceptions that lack a consistent theme. Sometimes you'll deem yourself worthy of self-regard, and sometimes you won't. And it depends on what's in your bank account, other people's opinions of you, and so forth. This is hardly a great basis for career success. On the mortal plane, none of us are perfect all the time, but on the spiritual plane, all of us are perfect all the time. Who we really are, perfect creations, unchangeable. Thanks for the shares and the hearts. Unlimited. None of us are more or less brilliant than anyone else is the most positive self-concept possible. To self-identify according to your spiritual rather than your material reality is enlightenment. So to see yourself as successful and unlimited and powerful, even if your material circumstances currently say the opposite, is the challenge and the gift and the true achievement. When you can break free from that, whether it's breaking free from it for a minute or an hour or a lifetime. From this perspective, you see that you are the light. You are the game master. You are creating it all. You are responding to it all. And you have all the power that you could ever want to change it. No thought or condition of darkness, that is, lovelessness in your own mind or in anyone else's, has any bearing whatsoever on the truth of who you are and what the universe has planned for you. Your past, your mistakes, other people's opinions about you, even your failures do not in any way limit who you are or what is possible for you now. There's a lot of bugs, even still. We need a good cold snap. A good cold snap would finish off the rest of these bugs and give us a break from them. So one of the most common negative self-concepts we carry is that we're just not good enough, that we're defective, that we're broken, and that we can't be fixed, that we're so beyond hope. It can be tempting to believe that some of us have it and some of us don't. Some are talented and some aren't. Some are brilliant and others are not. But if you notice your own head, you're always putting yourself in the latter half of that statement. You're not born to succeed. You're not brilliant. Other people are talented. Whoa! Ow! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Whoa, I just got a cat claw in the leg. Yikes! Oh my gosh, you guys. I think I might have to buy a new tripod thing. That scares the hell out of me every time it happens. I know it scares you guys too. I'm sorry. Ow. Poor kitty. Really scared the kitty. Whoopsies. Slipsy. Youch. Sorry about that. That's so disruptive. It's the temperature change, I think, that's making the camera pop itself out. I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's horrible when that happens. Whew. My heart's going. Oh well, I got a nice epinephrine surge and pain chemicals surging through my brain now to counter the effects of 4 cat feet being like, wah! Going on down there, right? The hell? I think I'm gonna have to get a new. I will get online and order a new camera mount. Part of the problem is I have the biggest phone out there, the Galaxy Note 4. It's like so huge. The Akron mount does hold it, but I think because I use it every single day, and I've used it since July, that it's starting to lose. Whew. The unconscious subtle negative self-concepts. Yes. So what's happening to, the more you do this work, the more you become conscious of those unconscious negative self-concepts. You have awareness and healthy self-love, but patterns of not enough still show up in a sneaky way. Yes, and say thank you. Be absolutely grateful for that, because what's happening is the more you're practicing love, the more you're becoming aware of what's left in there that has prevented you from being fully self-loving all the time. So when those things pop up, we're like, what the hell is this about? Where did this come from? Well, it's a gift. It's a gift. Yeah. It doesn't feel like a gift. But it's actually a gift, because how else are you going to know? How else is the unconscious going to become conscious if you're never conscious of it? There's always more ways to grow. And feel free to share in the group if you want. Yeah, I don't think, Susan, you're not on Facebook though, right? You can email me and I can start an email chain for support if you ever want to have a conversation about that off of Periscope. But so that's been so part of what's been underlying for several of us. So there's a lot of us have been doing this every day since August 29th. Do you realize that? That's like 4 months of every day talking about this stuff, except for the one day I was sick. And I know that there's plenty of other scopers that people are watching throughout the day. So every day for months and months, we've been choosing love and choosing love and choosing love. So what's going to happen? The negativity is going to have to come up. The unconscious is going to have to become conscious, because you're pouring water into the pool. Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because it helped me make a shift. I've really been stuck in a lot of frustration with related to receiving and giving and over-giving with people and letting them. My straightened hair is starting to curl from all this water. I've been stuck in resentment. Like, resentment is always your key that you've overgiven. Resentment is your clue that you have given away too much for free. And I'm not talking about anybody in my Periscope group, because this is a very reciprocal group. What I think has happened, the process, hopefully that's okay if I go into a little my personal story. My personal process has been one of seeing the contrast between what truly reciprocal giving and receiving relationships look like, and what's happening is it is highlighting all the other relationships I have that are not reciprocal. So it's like you can't appreciate the sun without the rain. Because I've had a lot of sun over the last few months since late summer, I've had lots of sun coming in and rising up. It is highlighting the areas that it's highlighting the shadow, right? So I'm shining the sun on my life, and I can see where the shadows are. So understanding and experiencing highly reciprocal relationships really becomes a stark contrast between the other relationships where people are getting free coaching and free support and free, which is fine in a friendship. But when I look at it, I have a lot of people who only call me when they have a problem because they want coaching. It's what I do. It's who I am. It's not something that I can stop doing because I was just always this way. I'm that person that I'm standing in the grocery store and people start spilling their guts to me. What I've learned to do is to not ask follow-up questions because then you're doing therapy at Kroger. That's not okay. But I can see it now. So it's been an uncomfortable process. So Michelle posted something in the Facebook group. Yes, it's highlighting areas where I still demonstrate a lack of self-respect. It's highlighting areas where I continue to give to people, even in the moment, I'm aware that I'm resentful. No eye contact. When you're in the grocery store, you just keep your eyes on your own buggy and don't stand still long enough for someone to start a conversation. But I couldn't have seen that without doing a lot of this work, like amplifying my connection to God, amplifying my connection to Source, so that I know what not love feels like. If you're always in fear, you don't know what not being in fear feels like. You made it. Until you do. Now that I know what a strong connection to God feels like, areas where my life is not connected to God are standing out in stark contrast. And that's been a little bit painful because the undoing process just means you have to express that pain. So it's just painful. It's part of it. It has to come out. So Michelle put in the group yesterday about how she has a situation, Michelle Lee, where she wanted something done. It didn't get done. And she was mad about it and upset about it. And at the same time, understanding that it's a first world problem and it's going to roll right through and it's going to be okay. And that made me realize that I've been stuck in this resentment for several days, and I've been asking, like, why isn't this shifting? Why am I waking up every morning feeling resentful toward this group of people? A particular collection of folks. Like, how come this isn't getting any better? Because normally I recognize it, I have my emotions, and it goes on through. And this wasn't. It's been like 4 or 5 days of resentment. So when she said that, I was like, I'm caught in the same loop. I want to be mad about this, but I feel like I shouldn't be because it's not worth being mad about, or it's a first world problem, or nice girls just give. Women get that message a lot. If you're a woman in our society, you're supposed to just give and give and give and give, and people are supposed to be able to come sit at your table and partake of what you have all the time, 24/7. And if you deny them, you're a bitch. I don't want to be a bitch. So that's the loop, right? People come and they need your help. You help them. And you don't ask, should I help this person? Or how many times does this person only contact me when they have a problem? Or how much free therapy has this person gotten because they're just so needy and they are too cheap to go hire a therapist? That kind of stuff. So when she said that, I was like, there it is. The resentment is still stuck because I'm not letting myself feel it fully because I'm judging it as wrong that I feel that way. You have a skill, you should give it to people for free. And even though they don't give anything, it's not about money either. Like reciprocal relationships are, you talk, I talk. You share, I share. You need support, and then one day when I need support, it's back and forth. And sometimes the scales are higher, and sometimes they're lower. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the people who just take, and nothing's coming back in any form. Not energy exchange, not random phone calls, nothing. There's no sense of exchange. It's just taking. That's what I mean. So when you're doing this work, balance, reciprocity, yes. And about a few months ago, I started writing in my my daily planner thing, compensated service. I want to be of service, but it needs to be compensated. And that doesn't always mean cash, although cash is awesome. It can mean other things. If someone makes me laugh all the time, that's an energy exchange. If someone is a good listener, that's an energy exchange. It doesn't have to be related to money. However, if you can't receive and if you're letting people just take, you're not going to receive money. You're not going to receive back. So it's a whole tangle of who told me I couldn't feel resentful, who told me it was bad, who or where, and there's not just one person. I mean, this is a massive cultural message that women in particular receive. Men get different massive cultural messages, but they're all destructive. So how come I think it's not okay to feel resentful? Resentful is really a great emotion. Resentment lets me know I've given too much. The minute I start to feel resentful, that's the ding ding red flag. Hey, slow down, stop. You need to backtrack and refill your own tanks. Resentment's good. It tells you when you're doing too much for somebody. It lets you know if you feel resentful toward this person, but you're happily giving toward that person, that lets you know that that person has gotten enough free stuff from you and they're not giving back. Resentment lets you know your tank is running dry. It's a good thing. I need to feel it fully. I need to feel the anger that's behind the resentment, anger toward myself for letting people take advantage for years, and anger toward them for being the kind of person that would do that. So, it's complicated, and what she's saying is the more you practice seeing yourself as part of the whole, the more you practice in any given situation choosing love, the negativity is going to rise up right behind it. You choose love, that floods a different energy into your whole system, which stirs up the energy that doesn't match. It's just magnetics. It doesn't match. A magnet can't pick up pieces of wood. A magnet picks up other pieces of metal. And when they don't match, it's not working. It's not going to happen. So what chapter 4 in this book is talking about is that process. So if you become aware that unconscious things are still sneaking up on you, that's good news, because it's telling you that you've increased your vibration enough that you can see it. Because if it was truly unconscious, you wouldn't be aware of it. The minute you're conscious of it, it's no longer unconscious. As soon as you're aware that something sneaked up on you, you made it. You're conscious of it now. It's good news. It doesn't feel like good news. It doesn't all the time feel like good news. As long as we think we're separate from the rest of the universe, we're bound to compare ourselves to others. Whoops. The book just turned off. Battery croaked. I don't use that nook very often. But you get it, right? Full expression. I had a friend once who, she and I used to argue about this. She felt like humanity would one day, and the point of our existence was to achieve a state where we were always happy. I don't believe in that concept. I don't believe in utopia. Because negative emotions have their place and they serve a purpose, just like resentment is information. Anger is information that your boundaries have been violated. Sadness is information, and good processing for things that you've lost. I don't think those are bad. Did you need something or just... Oh, okay. And I don't think that we will get to a state where we no longer have a full expression of emotions. I'm not sure why we would even want that. Because if we weren't judging them as negative, we wouldn't worry about it. If we were sad, we would just be sad. If we were angry, we would just be angry. If we were resentful, we would just feel the resentment and ask it what it has to tell us. It's only because we are judging anger and jealousy and grief and stuff as bad that we seek ways to get rid of them. So a common mistake people make when they start a path of self-development and spiritual growth, when they have an attack of jealousy or an attack of shame or whatever, they feel like they failed. You haven't failed. You're succeeding. That is the process. That's how it happens. If you have anger that's 25 years old pop up, that means you're doing good work. Or it wouldn't be popping up for you to express it and accept it and be okay with it. And allow it the space in your house that all of your emotions need to have space in your house. As long as you're rejecting it and kicking it out the front door, it's just going to keep knocking. So, processes of spiritual growth are periods of intense love, followed by periods of intense negativity as it's coming up for acceptance. But don't make the mistake of thinking you're never going to be angry again or never going to feel jealous again, because you're human. You will learn to accept it and let it roll on through. That's the gift. Clean pain versus dirty pain. Clean pain just rolls on through. Fresh anger appropriate to the moment, is gone in a flash, just like babies. Ashlyn gets mad at me because I won't let her bang her little chubby fists on my computer keyboard. It's there and gone. Because it's fresh anger, and it's appropriate for her context. You tend to want to know where it comes from. I think it's in... Where is that what you mean? Long periods of negativity. Yeah. So what, for myself, if it's going on long, I start asking questions. Like, what's this about? The minute I started asking those questions, I saw something Michelle posted, and her situation was exactly what I needed to put the pieces together and recognize what was happening for me. So when you start saying, so it's not like you're saying, who exactly told me that I couldn't be a math genius? You don't need to get that detailed about it, but you can say, how come, I wonder why I feel like I'm bad at math? Maybe I just never learned it. Maybe I just never had a good teacher. Maybe I never understood it in a way that works for me. There's no reason that any of us should feel bad at math. We most likely had bad teachers. So you can ask questions to shift it. So, Linda, by comparison, I became aware that it's not normal for me to wake up feeling resentful and pissed off day after day. That's not my normal state of being. So because I'd woken up resentful and pissed off for about 4 days, I was like, okay, what the fuck? What is this about? And then just asking, what is this about, gets you what you need. It may not necessarily be where it came from exactly in the past, but it'll be the information you need to turn the knob to a different radio station, to let it go. You might remember a particularly impactful person that gave you a message that now you're still playing out. But you may not. You may just understand, oh, this is some garbage I picked up in school. I don't need to do this. I can let that go. It was around 35 years old I recognized that I really don't like cake. And every time somebody had a birthday, I always ate a piece of birthday cake. Because that's what you do, right? Someone serves cake, you eat a piece of cake. And then one day I was picking up a piece of cake, and I was like, it hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, I don't even like cake. Yes, not obsess about it. Damn conditioning. Birthday cake's terrible. The frosting is disgusting. Sometimes I eat the cake underneath the frosting, but I didn't really like the whole concept. I was eating it sheep style, conditioning. You freaking love cake. Lots of people love cake. I might be odd in that. I don't like cake. So yes, Linda, when you are having a massive wave of negativity, you can just say, how can I see this differently? That's the greatest fallback question. What wants to happen here? What wanted to happen here was to be healed. Wedding cake, you only like the frosting, which upsets a lot of people, right? My mom will eat frosting right out of the frosting can. Ugh. Ugh. I'm going to have to throw up a hairball on that one. How can I see this differently? Oh. Yuck. What wants to happen here? What do I need to know? That's the questions I started asking. Like, what is this about? What is this about? Why am I still resentful and angry? Cake is your excuse for eating the frosting. Yeah, Mom too. People tell you have to eat the cake too, and you don't. Well, just eat what you want of it. And I just won't eat any of it. Here's what I want on my birthday. Tamales. Tamales are hard to make. I've never actually successfully made them. Let's just say I've never even tried because it looks so complicated. Oh, tamales. The best thing that can happen to me is if somebody comes running up to me in a grocery store parking lot with an ice chest full of tamales for sale. Oh, they look so hard. There used to be a church next to me near in my neighborhood that every Wednesday they made and sold tamales to raise money for the church. It was the best. I'd buy that shit by the dozen and freeze them. They freeze good. But it's hard to find beef tamales because I hate pork. But when you can find them, when I can find a beef tamale, I will buy that by the dozen. So there you go. Law of divine compensation. Internalized messages. Your poor grandma tried to teach you how to make tamales. And cake versus tamales. You made them every Christmas? Oh my gosh. That's like your family tradition? That's cool. What a cool tradition. Cool if you like tamales. I guess if you don't like them, then there's that. Cake versus tamales. Dance off. Whoa, 2 days? That's why I wait for somebody to come running up to me in a parking lot. I speak very little Spanish. She makes them for Christmas. Oh, you're so lucky. But I understand tamale and I understand whipping out whatever cash I have. So, don't get down on yourself if you find yourself stuck in a state. I don't know how to say that. Pasteles? Pasteles? Damn it. Cake. Oh. So I do like cake. Pasteles. I like that kind of cake. You guys, Linda once accidentally butt dialed me on the Facebook Messenger app. That woman, Michelle, and Michelle Lee says she's Texty McText because she's such a fast texter and emoji finder. She's an even faster talker. Linda can talk in Spanish or 100 zillion miles an hour. I didn't understand any of it. I had to listen for a minute because I realized she had called me by accident. And I just had to listen. It was like this constant string of sounds. It was really pretty. It was lightning fast. I couldn't tell where one word stopped and the other one started. Spanish is a beautiful language. I should learn it. I know a little French. So, anyway, I got to go to Walmart, guys, because it's really raining. And I don't want to get stuck here without tortilla chips. I have to have them. Even if I don't eat them, I just need to know that there's a bag of tortilla chips and a stick of butter in the fridge, and I'm good. Thank you. Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'll go to the other grocery store. We have another grocery store called Ingles, which is similar to like Kroger or King Soopers, something like that. But yeah, I'm just gonna run in, grab like 3 things. But yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna go to Walmart. I hate Walmart anyway. I'm just gonna go get bottled water, chips, chicken, beef broth, basics. All right. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope that is helpful to understanding that the more you love, the more what we would call negativity comes up to be loved. It's coming up to be loved. Okay. Okay. Much love. Merry almost Christmas. Thank you too. Love to everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for more doubting.